Hello, welcome back from SoftServe. We find ourselves in the wonderful Blighttown. I mean, it's not that wonderful, but you get what I mean. It's delightful and gorgeous, and this is my current progress with, I don't know, making it a visible dark. That's kind of been my visible-ish dark idea. So you can, well, one of the big changes is the torches I've added. And, ooh, I just forgot I broke something. Hold on a second. I broke something again because I was modifying a bunch of settings and stripping out baked lighting, and I forgot that it's gone through a lot of iteration, and I forgot that I turned on the shadow casting once again for a lot of these larger map pieces, which I think they might look weird if it doesn't have shadow casting, but we're about to find out. Because I stripped out the baked lighting for them, and I think that actually made them look kind of weird. Like too bright, essentially. So we're going to see just how fucking weird that looks. And hopefully it's not that weird. If not, I can just put the baked shadow map back on it. And it's not that big of a deal. But, because I don't want it to cover up the torch light, essentially. That's kind of my biggest requirement. So let's save that. Because there's an interesting thing of how the engine treats the illumination from torches. It basically, the shadows, like dynamic shadows cast from anything else, basically have prominence over that illumination, and it covers it up completely. When in reality, the illumination from the torches should have prominence because it's light, and it would overcome the shadows, right? As far as my understanding of light, which is in no way, an expert view, but I feel like that would be the more realistic approach. But of course, the way that this game renders things is vastly quirky, and I think it's called clustered rendering. I'm not a rendering expert, but that's what I've heard. Oh yeah, this is still casting a big shadow, which I guess is fine because it's not interacting with the torches I've made. So basically, you'll see the scaffolding here has dynamic shadows underneath it, which I think look pretty good. Let's go up to our other torches, and I added one here. Ah! And I added one over here, which is great. We love to see it. I've added a couple around the actual bonfire area, which I'm actually going to sit at that bonfire to get rid of my poison. And there's actually an idea behind it. Because at first when I was adding the torches, I was like, am I doing too much? Am I disrupting the vibe, essentially, of Blighttown? And I came up with a lore, because I do try to think about this. I do try to be considerate of the original vision, of course. And my thought process was, and let me know if this, you guys think this holds any water, or this is just me coping, which I have to. This is why I like feedback, so I can know if I'm just have my head up my ass, essentially. Oh man, I get stuck on this geometry every fucking time. Okay, I missed one. Shit. Yeah, someone in the comments was like, yeah, could you have a mod that, like, basically gets rid of the enemies or makes them docile? And I'm like, yeah, that's actually a good idea when showing off the mods. But I also kind of like the danger of running around trying to show off a mod at the same time. It kind of leads to funny results, I think. So yeah, here's an example of the shadow basically overcoming the light, and it just looks kind of stupid. So let's quit out before the enemies get to me. Once again, I meant to do most of this. I forgot that I did this. I bulk set the map pieces to render shadows, and so the downside of that is it covers up the illumination of the torches. I don't know how to tell the game engine that something has prominence over other lighting elements. I do not know how to do that. I'm not even sure if that's a function. I'm sure somewhere in the engine there may be a setting for that, but yeah, I don't know. I have not found anything that does that. I don't know if it's like the place or the time that it's the such a thing is placed. If that's when it has prominence, like this map piece is older than this light source I placed. I don't know, to be honest. Also, fun fact: I remember I was on the scaffolding and I was looking up and I was like, oof, something looks weird. And basically, this map was dark enough that From Software basically made it to where the map is actually see-through at certain portions. Yeah, it's like right here. You can see that there are just giant holes in the map piece. So to fix that, because it looked really weird, basically the sky is obviously much brighter than Blighttown, right? And so I basically stole. I'm trying to remember where I stole it from. I think I stole this. Or did I steal? No, I think I stole this. It's something like that. It's one of the sort of like half circle looking things. And I basically duplicated it. And you'll see here it's not visible. But here you can see this giant wall that's just hovering. And I basically set it to render all the time. And so now it mostly covers up those holes from when you're on the ground and you can't notice. And so that's sort of the unforeseen complications of modding Dark Souls Remastered, because the game wasn't meant for a lot of things. And in this case, they designed Blighttown to be dark enough to where no one would ever know that, right? And so I don't blame them for that. It does seem a bit odd in that you could just not have there be holes in the mesh and it wouldn't affect anything, right? Like, that's not really that much of a performance thing. It's just like, just cover it up, you know? Oh, shit. Wait, did I not apply the settings? Hold on. Yeah, what the fuck? Yeah, shadow source. Okay. Wait, is this not the thing casting shadows? Oh, is it this? Oh, it might be that. Oh, that'd be weird. That'd be awkward. Yeah, it might be. Fuck. All right. Well, let's save that as well. Shit. Man, I gotta cuss less, but you know what? Who cares? Let's hit that. I've been getting some really sweet comments, well, pretty consistently since I've been like regularly making videos where people are like, I really just like, oh shit. No, I died. Okay. That's to be expected. Well, I had to reload the map anyway, so they helped me out. You know, some really nice commenters have been saying that like your videos are kind of like just really relaxing. You know, it's just this really relaxing random nerd talking about Dark Souls, and I'm like, that is actually a really good way to describe me. I am a random nerd describing or talking about Dark Souls related shit. And I couldn't be happier about it. Oh, damn. Okay, I guess I forgot to set that as not shadow casting. Well, anyway, we'll keep... Oh, goddamn. Okay, I do have to fix it. Because, yeah, you can tell this torch isn't illuminating at all. Oh, welcome to my hell. This is just what it is all the time. Consistently, there are shadow sources that are fucking up what I'm trying to do. And it's like, ugh. Could you not? Wait, is it this one? No, not that one. No? Wait, which one's causing the issues? Which one are we... Oh, shit. Oh, is it this? Oh, damn. All right. Yeah, I guess it's the big wall up here. This is why you don't bulk change map piece settings. I was trying to be efficient, and really I was just fucking myself over. But the good thing is I've gotten really adept, I think, at figuring out what caused a fuck up, and I can usually fix it pretty quickly. So that's probably been my favorite thing I've learned. It's just like, I'm gonna fuck shit up. So I'm now used to it, and I quickly go, because I think I've forever ruined my brain, but in a good way maybe, to where I just now understand, oh, okay, it was probably that connect collision. You know, H00054. That's probably what it did. And it's just one of those lizard brain moments where you're like, all right, this isn't applicable to anything in real life, but I'm pretty okay with that. Yeah, so here you go. So now we got some torchlight back. And so I basically placed these torches kind of, I'm not done yet, but I've placed one kind of like right over there and right over there. I tried putting it next to certain objects or pillars. And so here's my reasoning for this. Because as you'll notice, I've actually put a couple in front of the Quelaag boss room. And I was worried about this because I was like, yeah, that might be a bit too much, right? But I actually have a reasoning for it, a lore reason. So as we know, there's been countless adventurers or potential chosen undead, right, that have traversed or attempted to traverse Blighttown. And basically most all of them, well, we don't really know most all of them. They probably die in a variety of ways. But they face off against Quelaag, right? And Quelaag defeats them and then feeds that humanity to her sister, the Fair Lady, which I mistakenly was calling like Quaylana, but I'm like, no, Quaylana is separate. She's running around Blighttown. But yeah, so basically, like, from a lore perspective, someone made the, oh shit. Fuck. Someone made the scaffolding, right? And all of the, yeah, all the scaffolding that we're using to get into Blighttown was very clearly made by adventurers, like as they were traversing Blighttown, I would assume, or finding themselves here. And to make the journey easier or possible for future travelers, I would assume. Like, of course, I'm just kind of pulling, shit out of my ass at this point. But like, I think that's pretty realistic, right? Like, I think that's quite possibly what happened, right? That's kind of what I think that might have happened. So let's see, shadow source, shadow destination. I think it was this that was blocking it. I might be wrong on that. We'll see. But yeah, you'll see here I placed a couple torches right in front because I feel like this is something that would have been happening over time. And here you can get kind of a bird's eye view of the torches I've added. And there's kind of like one by each pillar because I feel like it felt weird to me that the torches were all through the scaffolding and then they kind of like drop down here and then that's it. And then they're not used anymore. And I find that odd. I would feel that like the adventurers would make their way through the ground floor of Blighttown. And then as they're going, they place torches to sort of illuminate certain areas that they've been as they adventure it. Because this has been happening for, I don't even think we know how many years, right? And now this is, of course, like giant, big fucking nerd stuff, right? But I think it makes sense. Like, I don't think we know exactly how long, but it's been going on for a long, long time. Until our character gets here and actually defeats Quelaag, right? But I do feel like there's a decent amount of adventurers that have made this, like the Oscars of the world, right? And they've died, obviously. And like we're picking up. I mean, that's actually a good point, is that a lot of these, I call them pippity poppities, but these little items that we pick up are actually like the proud, soul of a proud knight. Those are the people that have made it here and died. And I feel like they would have been crafting torches and scaffolding as they're going, right? I don't feel like that was these sort of, whatever they call these, infested barbarians is what they're called. I don't think it was them that built it, right? I could be wrong about that, but it feels like this was built by adventurers as they're going on. Or at least the torch part of it. Maybe the scaffolding was created by these infested barbarians, right? Why they were crafting it, to walk on to get down to the lower level, I guess. But I feel like the adventurers would have put up the torches, perhaps. So that's my idea for it. And I'm trying to make like a bit of a light touch where it's like on certain pillars and certain things. I did have an idea for Blighttown for the swamp. Let's get back in the game real quick because I think I fixed my issue Maybe. We'll see. Basically yesterday I focused purely on Blighttown instead of jumping around to a bunch of different places. I was like, all right, let me actually make progress on one zone. All right, let's see. Yeah, okay, that's better. So it's kind of like a little shadow you can see in the distance, right? I still need to take off the spikes real quick. Yeah, those are not shadow casting. Let's turn those off. Also, I hate the poison that's in this area. I absolutely despise it. It has killed me. I don't even know how many times. Like, I know there's obviously a debug menu for Dark Souls 1, and that can kind of like, you can do a bunch of things and be invulnerable, and there's a ton of different things you can do, but I don't know. You have to down patch your Dark Souls Remastered, and I prefer to be modding on the current version, if that makes sense, because that's the version people are going to have. So I'd rather not have a different EXE. Excuse me if you heard that sneeze, by the way. Yeah, you can see a big color difference here between because it's not actually stretching into the, that is interesting. Have I not hit the collision yet? Because this coloring isn't correct. Yeah, oh, interesting. There's a collision I haven't changed yet. Interesting, so this is the coloring it's supposed to be. So pretty dark, a little bit more contrasty. This is the default setting for, oh, God, those eggs look. Wait, hold on. Why do those eggs look so bad? Yeah, what the hell is going on there? Okay, so let's go. Our first set of eggs are 555, which is the correct light, fog, and scatter ID that we want, I think. All right, well, those are fine. And these are the, oh, yep. I forgot to change those to the new setting of 555555. Those are your default settings for these from Prepare to Die. I forgot to change one of them, as so commonly happens. Let's see. All right, so let's load that up. Oh, my poison went away? Oh, thank God. It's also fun playing the game without a HUD, because obviously when I record these videos, I prefer there to be no HUD. It's a little bit more immersive and shows off what I'm doing a little bit better. Okay, so here we go. So it's a little dark, a little contrasty. And we have Quailag's room. And I kind of like that this is kind of your default colors, because I think the contrast is really quite good. I think I've modified the 555, the different ones a little bit. I still want to tweak them a little bit just to make the stonework maybe just a tad brighter. Just a little bit. But we go up in here, and it's still pretty dark. And I realized in here they're using, because I was curious, I was like, wait, they're rendering like most of Izalith, because all of that you're seeing out these window, essentially, or archways, is not part of this map. Commonly they would use like a fake map, right? They would do like a fake distance version of whatever they're looking at. Here they're actually using real Izalith, and they're using that through a connect collision that is actually rendering all of this. And that's pretty cool. It also, I was able to look at their settings and how they're doing the connect collision, because I've always wanted to learn how those function more specifically, because I want to use it for Anorlando from Duke's Archives, where they have that fake Anorlando. But if I use a connect collision correctly, I could render all of Anorlando to see from Duke's Archives. And so that's the end goal. I just haven't, I need to dive in one day and just like settle on doing that. But yeah, it's really cool to see Izalith this clearly, which is kind of how they set it up, but it's so cool looking. But if we go down, this is where we get into a really nasty conversion or transition from here to this tunnel. You'll see there's actually, there's a tiny collision right here, somehow, some way. that changes the light IDs back to 333, and then the tone mapping of 1-1. So let's go look at that, because I thought I actually had solved that. Clearly I have not. I have my Prepare to Die up at the same time, because Prepare to Die is best for collision hunting, because I was actually talking to someone on Discord, actually it was Magpie, and they were saying that the reason why the collisions, this blue stuff, you can see the collisions, and in Prepare to Die you can't see that, or in Remastered you can't. It just doesn't, like, you can go to display object types collisions, but like they just don't show up. And in Prepare to Die you can actually like turn them off, right? And these collisions are what your character runs into, but they also handle when your character's feet hit something that changes the rendering settings, right? It's really cool and really powerful, right? Actually, where's the Izalith? Where's the Izalith door? It is, the visibility actually is a bit tougher without the with the collisions on, because you're like, what the shit? I can't see anything. And also the collisions. Yeah, okay, so here's the Izalith door. Is it 57? It might be 57. Okay, hold on. So basically, yeah, you can see I've selected the collision here. It's 57. Have I changed 57? No, I have not. Okay, so 57 might be the collision that was causing problems. So we're going to convert that over to 5555. We also have this tiny collision. Really? Okay, so 5610. Well, let's go to that as well. And so this is kind of the backward way you have to do it, because Remastered doesn't show the collisions. You can kind of fumble your way around collisions. Like for instance, on Remastered over on the left here, you can basically select Quelaag, and you can see it references her collision, which is 53, and you can then select that collision. So that's the sort of ass backward way that you can see some collisions. But if you want to see all of them, you basically need to have a Prepare to Die project. That's just a game changer. Without that, you're missing a ton of functionality if you're not modifying because otherwise you're going to modify some of these collisions completely blind. And let me tell you, that does not work well. So let's go in here. We've now edited the couple collisions that might be causing the problem, because I don't want there to be little big changes like that. Our next thing is more complicated, but let's hope this works. I still need to edit these settings more, because I feel like the player character is a little bit too dark. That's been kind of a constant battle with the changes that I make, is that the player character Remastered really loves to make the armor like super dark. Okay, so we fixed the collision issue. It no longer changes back to 333, which is nice. I also probably can edit the specular of these textures on the inside, because it seems like this should be more kind of like glossy, right? Not glossy, but like wet, because this is clearly like moist AF. I feel like it's got to be dank up in here, right? Yeah, so look at this transition. And I haven't modified Izalith a whole lot like I have. Like you can see in here, they do have the specular going on. But then when you go in here, the specular kind of ends, and there's just not a whole lot of specular going on. And I've always found that kind of weird. And so I probably do need to go and edit that, but I'll do that maybe for the next video. But here is an interesting problem. So how do you make this collision less terrible? Because it actually creates a problem. And this is what I was messing with prior. So basically what you can do, because the map, the Blighttown map literally ends right where my feet are. And that's why you can see this crazy change. Because it's a completely different map, it's a different light ID, it's a completely different draw param. Completely. And so the settings are not applicable. Like if the light ID of 5 in this map is not the same as light ID 5 for Blighttown. It's just not. And, well, unless I'm forgetting which map Izalith is. I do forget the numbers. So let's see, what is Izalith? Oh, actually, I take that back. Oh, never mind. I was wrong. I forgot. This actually makes a lot of sense. I always forget which. I thought Izalith was the one that was a different map, but actually, because you can see that Blighttown is M14 and Demon Ruin / Lost Izalith is 1401, it actually does share a draw param. My mistake. Which that actually does make it a bit easier. So basically, we know we're using 555 here. So let's unload Blighttown, and then we load up Demon Ruins. And presumably, God, if I can find my way here. Yeah, you can see also the map is largely like incomplete in terms of like they kind of draw certain things, stop drawing other things. Yeah, here we go. So here's our entry point. And we have our tunnel. And you can see here there's a map piece that it doesn't render at certain times, and it only renders it when you're like outside. So classic problem. So the tunnel is set to 333. Interestingly enough, if we set that to 555, the main thing we actually need to do is actually find the collision for this, because that's handling the difference more so. Well, actually, while we're here, I forget. I haven't been to Lost Izalith in so long. Yeah, so it's currently set to 666. Interesting. I wonder why I set this to 333. It may have been because I've been trying to make this transition more seamless for quite a while, and I kind of gave up on it and went to go do something else. But now my understanding of the systems are vastly better, like so much better at this point that I think I can do it. So let's unload this map. Let's load up Demon Ruins and prepare to die. And we're going to find... the nice thing with DS Map Studio is that, yeah, when you load the Prepare to Die, it basically loads the same area that you're at in the Remastered. It just happens to go, oh, cool, all right, you want this area? Great. So this is collision 0. Excellent. Which makes sense. It is the beginning of the map. So we have collision here. Let's do 555 and tone mapping of 5. Lantern ID. Oh, have I not turned off the lantern in Lost Izalith? That makes sense. Well, then actually doing a lantern ID of 0 should work for Lost Izalith as well. So let's turn that off actually while I'm here. Because they share a draw param, I can actually change this to Blighttown settings for the lantern to turn off the player lantern, and it should work just fine. Also, the shadow ID of 1. Was I really using 1? No, let's set that to 0. 0 is the one I've modified, unless I also modified, obviously, the 1, maybe. Also, some of them are... or never mind. Okay, so let's do that. We've now saved collision 001, and hopefully this can... Oh, some of the eggs are the... Oh, the eggs are part of the tunnel. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay, so let's test this. And so kind of the problem is, basically, if you change this tunnel collision to be a little bit different to make it more of a seamless transition, then the transition you're just moving to out here, right? Like you're still going to have that big transition of lighting, which personally, I would prefer that the transition happen when you're exiting into Lost Izalith and seeing it versus in the tunnel you're getting flashbanged, right? That is sort of, but there's always been that really weird transition of differing amounts. But from what I remember, even in the unmodded game, there's quite a transition going into this tunnel. From what I remember, there's always been, and people in the comments can let me know, but I'm fairly certain. I've played the game many times, and I remember there being a pretty terrible transition there. They had more abrupt ones depending on which conversion or which transition it was, and some of them were fine, but a lot of them were just like flashbang. Holy shit, you know. I don't know if it's... I mean, we know that obviously they were rushed with Lost Izalith, so there may have been just some where they were like, who cares? Let's just... It's a small transition. And in the grand scheme of things, it's not a big deal. It's really not. Oh, look at that. Look at that. No more flashbang. Hell yeah, dog. Hell yeah. See, that's what I want. Because this tunnel looks exactly like the Blighttown tunnels. This isn't a Lost Izalith thing yet. This is exactly the same style tunnel that you run through to get to Quelaag, right? So, and see here, you're walking out and you see this magnificent brightness of Lost Izalith, and we haven't hit the new collision yet. And I think we're gonna hit it. And there we go. I think that's perfect, actually. That's perfect. I love that. I'm super happy with that. That's great. I think I might end the video here. I haven't been in Lost Izalith for quite a while, but I'm very happy. And, you know, obviously you go into this and it darkens the tunnel greatly. I think that's actually super cool, and I'm totally fine with that. And it's like an HDR thing. You come back in, it's now back to the standard look. Easy peasy. I will say the character is a little bit more red looking. Not entirely sure why that is. That's interesting. I think that actually has something to do with the 555. Because I'm even reddish in here. So I'll take a look at that. Also, you'll notice this platform is differently colored. Once again, that's an issue just like the new Londo elevator. Basically, this elevator, of course, once you activate it, goes straight to Lost Izalith, which, you know, is differently colored, and that's why this is red. So I can try to make it a little bit more neutral between the two, but honestly, it goes straight to Lost Izalith, and it fits there. But if I make it fit here, then it doesn't fit in Lost Izalith. It's one of those cross-map related objects that just is it's not great. It's not going to be perfect, and it's one of those it's difficult to fix. But I'm actually surprised I like one-shotted this thing, and it's now a really good transition. And I think it's arguably more correct in my estimation that this tunnel would be just like the entry to Quelaag, right? Because it's the same thing with the spider webs. And that's kind of my methodology for a lot of this. Like when I was adding grass, I would look at the texture to communicate where grass could be. I need to get back to that actually. And here I'm looking at the texture to say, okay, it's communicating that this is still a Quelaag tunnel and there's eggs. And so it makes sense that it would look the same, right? We haven't reached Lost Izalith just yet. And so here you can see this is how we're looking at Lost Izalith. And then once we step in, now of course I'd probably prefer the collision was like around here, that it would change to the new lighting, but such is life, you know, it's not going to be perfect. But I kind of like that it goes, boom, you're now in Demon Ruins. And I gotta say, I really like how I ended up with Lost Izalith. I think it's very red, but I love it. And I think it's like aggressively Lost Izalith and contrasty, and you just feel really immersed in it, and I really dig that. So yeah, I think I'm going to end the video here. A little shorter than last time. We reached about 30 minutes again, 32 minutes. If you enjoyed this video, a like would be greatly appreciated. It really helps push out the video to other people. We grow the community a little bit more. The more souls, homies that we can get in one community, I think sounds great. And, you know, love you guys. The support has been fantastic. And yeah, I just really enjoy it. I enjoy making these videos. It's that symbiotic relationship between the videos and the modding that has been just super productive for me, and it's helped the mod like immensely, right? And yeah, subscribe if you haven't already. I basically post mostly daily, mostly just modding videos of doing weird, quirky things with Dark Souls and what I consider upgrades, and you know, I get your guys' feedback on changes, of course. And sometimes I'll do Let's Plays, you know, little videos. I'm thinking for the next... I just dropped my controller, which I do all the time. Shout out Xbox controller. But no, for the next Lies of P Let's Play video, I've recorded like another 4 hours worth because I just keep playing it and recording it. I think I'm going to edit it down so it's not just the gameplay footage, because there's quite a few boss attempts on these next bosses. And so you'll see every time I die, but I do plan to like edit it down quite a bit to maybe where it's like a fourth as long as the recording is. That's kind of my goal, or at least half. And so most of it will just be me talking and interspersed to that. So it's perhaps more interesting to watch for those who don't normally watch Let's Plays, right? And I think I'm pretty okay with that because there's obviously a lot of portions where I'm like, yeah, this isn't interesting. I think some people might prefer like fully unedited, but I'm like, nah, I'll edit it. I need to get better at editing anyway. So for me, it's kind of a win-win there. And so I'll make it a little bit shorter. So that way it's more action-packed a little bit. But I'm loving it so far. But yeah, and if you know anyone who might enjoy these kind of Dark Souls modding videos and likes to maybe try a different experience for Dark Souls, they can download my mod. There's a link in the description to download the current version of the mod. I will upload these changes actually, because I think Blighttown looks pretty good at the moment. I'm not done with it, but I like where it's at. And now we have that new transition to Lost Izalith. That's sick. I love it. I'm so happy with how that turned out. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. And, praise the sun.